Welcome, Truth Seeker. Do you think the Earth may be flat? Perhaps you're not sure if dinosaurs ever existed. Or maybe your gut just tells you the world is not what you've been told all these years. No question is unwise or wrong, so don't be afraid to ask. Albert Einstein said, "The true sign of intelligence is not knowledge, but imagination." So to question the shape of the Earth is not a sign of ignorance, but that of brilliance. All men by nature desire knowledge, but unfortunately we live in a society drifted so far from the truth. It hates, mocks, and ridicules those who speak it. But have no fear, Truth Seeker. We are all in this together, and oh so close to breaking out of the dome. So think different. Subscribe now too. Insanity is sanity, and seek truth together. If everyone is thinking alike, then somebody isn't thinking. I'm going to go and try and find that curve now. Make sure you subscribe, and look out for the new podcast starting on this channel soon, called The 33 Show. There are some great guests lined up you don't want to miss. Remember, keep it flat, keep it flat, keep it flat.
Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to Flat Earth UK Live. In case you haven't noticed, we do have a live chat feed running, so if anybody wants to point at us and tell us, talk about the flat Earth, and that reminds me, anybody who's never tuned into a show like this before, we will be covering all things about the very real, very flat Earth. And you can join in the conversation if you have a Mac or PC. So tap away on your keyboards if you want to ask a question, type the word question in capital letters. Hopefully I can put questions to my guest. And yeah, if you're watching on a mobile device, you can watch that feed. Unfortunately, you can't interact with it. So as I say, this show is going to be all about the flat Earth. And we'll be talking about how we've been deceived into being fooled into the heliocentric model that is the globe. So we'll be looking at the main deceivers. We'll be looking at NASA and the billions and billions of dollars that they spend every single day deceiving us. Maybe that's a bit of an exaggeration. Maybe they don't spend billions every day, but they spend a lot of money deceiving us, that's for sure. And we'll also look at CERN and the billions of dollars or billions of pounds or billions of euros that are spent fooling us with yet another lie. We'll also talk about Shiva, if indeed it comes up. Hopefully we'll talk with my guest about perceptions of things like the moon, the stars, the Earth itself. We might even get to talk about some falling stars. And indeed, we might get to talking about out-of-body experiences. Perhaps we'll talk about the Mandela effect. Again, we shall see how it goes. We'll definitely talk about the celebrities in science. I'm sure Brian Cox's name will come up at some stage or another. So we'll chat a little bit about Brian Cox and whether or not we think Brian does actually know the Earth is flat. Is he deliberately deceiving us? Only time will tell. Only Brian really knows, but I'm sure we all have an opinion on the matter. We'll also, hopefully, if my guest arrives, he's running slightly late. He has dropped me a quick email to say he'll be with us very shortly. But we'll talk about the show that was advertised at the top of this show called The 33 Show. That's a lot of shows in one go. But yes, the host of YouTube channel Insanity is Sanity, Amir, will hopefully be joining us to answer some questions from yourself and talk all things flat Earth. In the meantime, while we wait for my guest to arrive, my wife is on standby to hopefully chat a little bit of flat Earth with us. I'm sure I've mentioned many times in the past that my wife, Paula, come and have a seat with us, Paula, while we wait for Amir, is definitely not a flat earther. On the fence, would you say?
Maybe.
Maybe on the fence. Well, I mean, what do you think? I mean, do you think the Earth's flat? I've never asked you directly.
No, well, I like to think of the round globe. I don't know, it's just a nice
fantasy.
Yeah. But
does that mean you know it's a dream?
No, I just think it's nice to think the world's round. There's just something. I don't know. It's just my thought.
Your thoughts, the world's round.
Yeah.
But why?
I don't know.
Well, give us.
I don't know. It's what we've always learned. What we've always been told.
It's because that's exactly what everyone else thinks, and that's what we're taught in our school systems.
Pretty much.
Pretty much. I mean, you put loads of questions forward about NASA when we were chatting away on the very first ever live feed we did. You were asking about things like, why are we going to Mars when we could be going back to the moon?
Yeah.
So you've obviously got questions.
Yeah, there are a lot of questions, obviously, like with everything. Like, how did they put a man into space? How did they know it was going to work? How did they know a spacesuit would protect a guy from space elements? How did they know what space would be like? They practiced in a vacuum. How do they know space was like a vacuum?
How do we know it's a vacuum at all?
Yeah.
I mean, it kind of makes no sense if you think about, we've got all of our atmosphere all the way up to the top being carried along with the Coriolis effect, but then above that we've got a vacuum, something that would suck all the atmosphere off. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. And if they did go to the moon, why aren't they going there more?
Why aren't they going to the moon more often?
Yeah.
Well, they went and then stopped going.
And then why are they going to Mars if they don't really know the moon?
Because they need to discover water again. I mean, they keep...
Why though?
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
There's no point other than to continually convince us that we're on a spinning ball. That's the only purpose in going to Mars. Because if they can't go back to the moon again, if they went back to the moon again with 4K cameras, it would be so glaringly obvious that they faked the first moon landings that we'd never ever get there.
Why aren't they going to Venus?
Why aren't they going to Venus? I don't know. I mean, that's a question for NASA, I guess. Why not go to Venus? We look at it often enough, don't we?
Yeah.
I drag you out of bed and tell you that you need to be looking at it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of the fun. I mean, I was going to start asking Amir questions about how he came to discover the Earth is flat. But, I mean, you don't think it is.
No, so how did you come to think the Earth was flat?
How did I come to think it was flat?
Yeah.
I was always looking up. I mean, it didn't come as a shock, although when the penny finally dropped, I did drag you out of bed and tell you.
Yeah.
But I think I was watching a Math Powerland video, and he was talking in double Dutch as he does about something not at all flat Earth, and then he just dropped the words flat Earth in at some point. And then I went and watched his interview that he did with his girlfriend. And in the interview, he's basically explaining that he was at a NASA meeting, and they told him, they just laid it out for him. They said, this is what it looks like. This is how it is. And the whole conversation, as he explained it, started off with a party, and I think there was a power cut, and it sounds really romantic, but like over candlelight, he's asking the question, Math Powerland is asking the question, where did that flight go? You know, and they said they won't ever be able to find it, it's too far down. And he said, why won't they ever find it? You know, surely global positioning system will find it. And they were sort of chuckled and said, well, no, it's all flat. And they just essentially told him. But after telling him, the following day, all these people went back to describing it like you see it. You know, they all just described it as being a globe. And while they're walking around NASA and the various different departments, they're not talking about the Earth being flat, in spite of the fact that it very obviously is. I mean, did you see the thing I posted on Facebook?
No.
The photograph of Isle of Wight?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So you've got,
Very clear.
yeah, oh, bit of a bonus. We've got Amir.
Okay.
You're off the hook.
Yes.
Well, not necessarily, because he's not necessarily hearing us and stuff yet, but we'll check. Amir, can you hear us? He's checking around. We might continue to talk about flat Earth until he pipes up and says he can hear everything.
I can't hear anything.
I can hear you, Amir. How you doing? Have you got your earbuds in? Can you hear us? Oh, he's muted himself. Oh. We'll wait till Amir works out his technical difficulties. I mean, I can't believe I can't convince you with just the glaringly obvious that it's flat. I mean, that photo alone, we're about 30 miles away from the Isle of Wight. We're about 6 inches off the beach, lying down to take the photo. And I worked out on the Earth curve calculator, there should be something like, I don't know, 500 feet of Earth's curve blocking the view of that. What is it? What's the shape of that animal?
The polar bear.
Yeah, there's a polar bear that sits on the very tip of the Isle of Wight. And we've been out to sea fishing on my 30th birthday, Paula and I and the rest of my family. And it's a really cool, like, it's not put there, is it? It's just a natural formation that looks like a polar bear. But there we were on the beach, and my sister published it. She's got a really, very good camera, and it's, picks out the detail of this tiny little polar bear above my niece's head. And I was there on Facebook looking through the pictures. I didn't know it was there. Someone had tagged me in it. Should we try Amir again, see if he can hear us? Can you hear us, Amir? Not quite. But yeah, it was mad. You could just see.
Sorry, I can. That was
wicked.
I had the headphones plugged into the wrong socket.
It's always the way, mate. I'm glad you're here because I can let my wife off the hook. Thank you. Thank you for joining us, Audio Paula. Woo, 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 woo.
Thank you.
Amir, we'll kick off the show proper.
Yeah, sorry about that.
If you don't mind me asking, before we get to anything else, how did you find out the Earth is flat?
Well, thanks for having me, first of all.
My pleasure.
How did I find out the Earth is flat? YouTube stuffed it down my throat, to be honest. It was just by accident. I was being recommended a few videos of, I think it was Eric Dubai and Mark and Jeranisms, and he just kept feeding it to me. I just kept ignoring it, and eventually I clicked on it, and here I am.
I mean, do you think those recommendations that you get on YouTube, I mean, I'm always a little bit skeptical about, there's various different categories. So the videos will come up with the person's name who's published the video. And then some of them, as you point out, have got the word recommended or recommended for you. I mean, do you think that there's just a little algorithm that decides, or, I mean, at the end of the day, it's people, even if it is an algorithm, but what's your take on those recommendations?
To be honest with you, I think there's a lot more to it than just an algorithm. I think, like, I was thinking about this the other day, actually. When do you remember when the Turks shot down the Russian plane? That day on Twitter, the top trending word was World War III. So in a way, I think, because of the way we use the internet, we're sort of giving away so much information about how we feel, what we're thinking, all of this stuff without even realizing it. And I think all of this stuff is used in a way to sort of feed us what we want, I guess, in a way. So I think in a way, YouTube's algorithm knew what sort of things I'm into from what I've been watching and, from the posts I make and stuff like that. So I think in a way, YouTube gives you what they think you will enjoy.
I mean, I definitely agree with that. It's one of those where people will freely give away all their, their secrets, if you like. So in the tech world, when Windows 10 came out, there was a big, kerfuffle, if you want to call it that, about the fact that you had to sell your soul to Windows and say, yes, you can see every single detail, right down to them listening to your microphone. I mean, they would say it's just for, what is it, Cortana or something like Cortana. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy the amount of permission we give these people into our lives. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it only just clicked for me just a couple of days ago. Like I said, with that Twitter thing, I realized how, because in a way, I mean, if we take YouTube as an example, we can say, yeah, it's great. It's giving me what I would enjoy. But in another way, there's always a bad side to everything, right? So they can also use that information to control us. Like, for example, they know right now that the whole world is on alert. For example, just the fact that everyone's tweeting about World War III just tells them, okay, we've got them scared, we've got them sort of where we want them, so, and that's how they make their moves. I think in a way they watch to see what sort of reaction the world is in, and then they go off that, I think. So I think in a way it's quite scary if you think about it. And we've only just really started with this sort of technology, haven't we? Imagine in like 10 years time what they could do then.
I mean, you've summed it up nicely when you say it's scary if you think about it, More and more I see people saying that they don't watch the TV and suddenly they get woken up to the flat earth. And when you do watch the TV, frankly, even the adverts are terrifying half the time.
Yeah, it's true. I don't know, it's just strange. And I think it's getting weirder by the day.
Yeah,
isn't it?
I mean, I like to keep it flat earth. I mean, one of the things I kicked off the show by saying was it was about NASA and the sort of massive amount of money that they pump into fooling people. You did a little video about exactly that. I mean, what is your take on the sort of spending at NASA? I mean, I ask in a particular way because you are so passionate about it, and it's not our money. We're British. I mean, it's kind of an interesting one when you are that passionate about it to know, you know, why it's not really our battle, but you're still fighting it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's not about the money though, is it? I mean, if you think about it, the lie is so huge. The money's, you know, I don't even see that as a factor, to be honest, anymore, because the lie is a lot bigger. So I think in a way it does affect us because they're lying to all of us. Just because we're not paying for it, I don't think we can say, oh yeah, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, that's what it boils down to. It's the extent of the lie. I mean, we don't really know how much the British have got our fingers into that particular lie. Probably a lot more than we realise.
Oh, of course. I mean, the British didn't go. They've never been to space, have they? So they know. They kept their money, so they of course they know.
Well, we're even insulting the Americans, it seems, with our media. I mean, well, you've got the Imagine Dragons video from 2012, 2013. They're kind of, it's so blatant and so gimmicky that they're kind of, it's farcical to think that would be real. But when you see stuff like the Toast of London really laying it out there with details and naming names, it's just, we're almost insulting the Americans, or our media is.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't watch media. Do you still watch TV?
My wife does. I mean, I get suckered into watching it. I've got maybe 2 shows that I actually enjoy watching, and I think they're both about cars. That's about it. I can't bear to watch the news.
I mean, I get angry when I turn on the news. I just get frustrated. It's horrible.
Yeah. Like you say, with stuff trending like World War III, I mean, I was going to get into the lighter side of it and start sort of talking about the Black Knight and the way that was trending.
Is that trending as well? I didn't know.
I don't know. This is the thing. I mean, I looked into it thinking maybe I've seen this stuff in social media because it's already been out, but it doesn't seem to be the case. It seems to be fresh as it comes. Have you seen the Pepsi advert?
Yeah. I saw your video first, and then I saw it. But yeah, it was oh, you made a video about it, didn't you? Yeah. It was it's strange. It's very strange. But to be honest with you, I'm gonna be honest. I'm convinced right now that, because I've been looking into a lot of like numerology and stuff, and I'm convinced that these guys, everything they do, like through the media, has a purpose.
Absolutely.
A dark purpose. I mean, they've all of their agendas are based around media. If the media didn't exist, they couldn't have pulled any of this off. And all of the adverts. So this Black Knight ad is very interesting because what could it mean? Like, why? I can't make sense of it. I don't know what it could be, because is the Black Knight even real? I mean, has anyone ever seen it?
I've asked the same question and got nowhere. I mean, I did a little bit of digging and found exactly the same stuff that was out there years ago.
Yeah.
I don't think I found anything new on it. I mean, what to think about it? Nothing. There's nothing to think about it. The situation with it hasn't changed, apart from Pepsi have manipulated social media for a few months, it seems. I mean, I tracked back thinking it's only a week ago I was thinking about this. And it wasn't. It was months ago. So clearly Pepsi, with a huge budget, have been dropping this stuff in left, right and centre.
Yeah. I don't know what to make of it. I mean, if the Black Knight was real, I'm sure someone would have seen it.
Well, that's it. Well, we've seen some beautiful photos from Pepsi to terrify us with. Well, I mean, what was your feelings on the advert when you watched it?
I liked it, actually. I enjoyed it. I mean, if I didn't know any better, I would have eaten it. But I mean, I don't really have an opinion, to be honest. I enjoyed watching it. I don't know what the purpose behind it is, so I don't know. I didn't really look into it that much, to be honest. But because I don't know, I doubt the Black Knight is real, to be honest. I haven't really looked into it much, so for me, it's not really interested anymore. I mean, if we go by the flat Earth theory and say that satellites don't exist, which I don't agree with anymore. I used to agree with the fact that they don't exist, but I've got another theory now.
Oh no, tell us more. Tell us more.
Well, have you seen that clip where the amateur rocket goes up and it's almost as if it hits something and it slows down? Have you seen it?
Yeah, yeah.
It's almost, I've been watching it over and over, right? And it's almost as if it goes into some sort of liquid, right? And it slows down and then it comes back down. So I'm thinking, what if there's a point where, because I believe there's a dome and I believe that there's some sort of water up there, right? So what if the water, we can go in, and this would also explain why they have scuba tanks and there's bubbles. What if in space is actually water and they're up there and satellites are in that place, but and I don't know, I'm not saying water like the water that we drink, but some sort of liquid, and they're up there and the satellites are in that place and they are doing space.
That's just blown my mind. That's so fresh and new. I don't even know what to say. That's mad. That's a really interesting theory.
Mean, if you think about it, if they're faking spacewalks in a swimming pool, there wouldn't just be a single bubble here and there, would there? I mean, they're moving a lot. So you'd expect to see a lot of water moving around, not just a single bubble here and there. So what if there's some sort of liquid up there and they are actually up there and the satellites, you know, orbit the circumference of the Earth from above? Because that would explain all the satellite images, because how else would they get those satellite images? Like Google Earth. You could say it's a high altitude balloon, but those images change. You know, they get updated. So there must be something that's always up there or always being sent up. So I'm thinking, what if they're actually up there in some sort of liquid and we don't know what it is? Because
I mean, there's definitely stuff up there. I mean, my folks, although they've moved now, used to live in Shropshire, and in the UK, it's the place with the least light pollution in the whole country. And they had a hot tub. It was wicked, actually.
Where?
We used to sit and it was up in Shropshire, but they had this fantastic night view. It was amazing. But there was loads of stuff that you'd see going past that, you know, when you're not really thinking about it, you just assume they're satellites, but they're sort of floating on by along with all the shooting stars and stuff. So there's definitely stuff up there.
Yeah.
You know, not that you can catch it with the telescope because it's moving.
Definitely, yeah. I'm pretty sure there is something up there, but how it's moving around and where, that's another mystery.
So you firm on your view that there's a dome? Then I'm not going to quote the religious stuff, but
yeah, I'm not really into the religious stuff, but to me it just makes sense. I'm not 100%. I'm always open to change. But for now, I think there is, because everything that I've researched points me to a dome. So, and I was going to do an experiment, but which I haven't got around to yet. I was going to make a video about that just to let people know what's going on, but I was going to make like a dome and then try and see if I can recreate a rainbow inside it. So hopefully if I get that done and that works, then I'll be convinced. I'll be sold.
Did you see that the Robin Poe did a video about, I mean, she even quoted me and it said it was a response to me, which I was flattered over, but she's done a sort of why is the sky blue on a flat Earth video. Did you see that?
No, is it new?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty new. I think it's been out a couple of weeks. But no. She's proposing that it's made of sapphire, actually a solid...
yeah, I did see that one. Yeah. I know which one you mean.
I mean, it's just, again, it's another theory none of us are necessarily ever going to find out.
Yeah, it could be. It would explain all of the glass pieces that have fallen out the sky.
That's it, exactly. Nice. Again, ham-handed segue from me into the sort of falling star video that you had. I mean, can you tell us a bit about that particular video? Oh,
the orb that fell out, the black thing. Yeah, that was a really strange one. I don't even know if that was real, to be honest with you now, because apparently there was another one that happened after that. It reminded me of the Truman Show when the light fell out the sky.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a strange one. I don't know. I just thought it was funny, and I put it up. But it seems that there's a lot of that like spacey news that they try and put out in every way that they can,
I see what you mean. So you mean when you say it's not real, you literally mean that video is just another piece of media?
Yeah, just propaganda. Because did you see how poor the quality of the images were? And it was just, I mean, none of it made sense. There was no crater, there was no impact crater, there was no debris, nothing. It was just like it was as if it fell out just like 10 feet from the sky. But I think in a way, because I think the article was from the Daily Mirror as well, which to be honest is a joke. The stories that they put out is ridiculous. So yeah, again, it just seems to me like another one of those stories that they just put out just to reinforce it.
I mean, one of the things I really love about your channel, the Insanity is Sanity channel, is that you will put stuff out there, and it kind of reminds me of that scene in Men in Black when they're looking for leads and they go to the newspaper stand and pick up the sort of the I don't know how they describe them, but the rags, you know, the tabloids, and they've got all the "I was abducted by aliens" thing on the front. In other words, there's possibilities that some of this stuff might actually be true, as much as you can easily, even on your own channel, say, well, yeah, this is kind of rubbish quality and from the Mirror. But some of it might end up being true.
Yeah, you never know. The ISS might end up being true. Real.
I mean, they've definitely got something up there. I mean, again, I've talked about this with Fake Spaceman in Space. He seems to think it's a drone up there. I've never clapped eyes on the thing, so I'm all for hearing opinions on what people think about the ISS. I mean, what's your take on the ISS?
I think I think there's something up there, like you said, but I don't think there's any people up there. Like I said, if there's stuff flying around taking pictures of the Earth, it's probably one of those, and they're saying it's the ISS. I don't think there's people up there. There's no way they can have people up there and they're still alive and they're sending them supplies. It's just they've made it seem so casual, you know. Oh, we're just sending another rocket up with supplies. Yeah, you know, you're trying to get to space, and then you're trying to send a rocket up and have it dock at this. It doesn't make sense. It's too much, to be honest. When you sit down and try and analyze it, you realize it's just too much. I think they've made the line too big.
You know, they're using technology that's from the space race. It's bonkers to think that that's the stuff that's supplying them.
Exactly. No, I think they've just made the line way too big, and they don't know how to get out of it now. I think it's all going to come down.
Yeah, the house of cards is definitely stumbling. I think it's sort of it seems it's gained momentum, but the sort of speed it's gained momentum also makes me slightly concerned that, you know, as we peel away what we think is a layer of deception and find what we think is a layer of truth, there may be the next layer is just yet another layer of deception. I mean, lots of people are falling back on crazy theories. I mean, you know, a lot of people use CERN as explanations for stuff. I mean, what's your take on CERN?
I've used CERN as an explanation for something before.
I mean, I'm not knocking it. I mean, it's farcical
I know.
Places don't do science, because they do.
Like again with CERN, again it's the same with CERN. I mean, we only know what we hear, right? And online, I mean, I've never seen CERN. I've never been there. I don't know what it's about. None of the equations make sense to me. So all I can do is speculate. You know, from what I understand is again, CERN is probably one of those things that is not good for anyone. Like in one of my videos, I suggested that maybe they're using CERN to go back in time and change things. I know you didn't agree with that. The Mandela effect. I
mean, I'm so glad you've come on the show. If every single guest thought the same thing I did, life would be very, very dull. But you know, this isn't about my opinion. You're my guest, so it's all about your opinion, mate. I mean, I want to know what you think about it.
Well, what I think honestly, I think CERN is some sort of time machine, and I think they have used it to either go back or maybe even, because we don't even know how time travel would work. I mean, it doesn't, if you think about it logically, it doesn't make sense. How can you go back and then change something and then come back again? Do you know what I mean? It's like the grandfather paradox, isn't it? How can you go back, kill your grandfather and still be alive? Do you know what I mean? And if you were to do that, then how could you ever exist? Because you would have done it. Do you know what I mean? So it's a paradox. So time travel, from the way, like, I used to think about it was like time was linear, and then you could go back and change something and then come back again. But now I think it's more like different dimensions. And so if you go back in time, because using the Mandela effect as an example, all of the things that are changing, we still know about them. So the only thing that has changed is the physical object, and they haven't managed to change people's consciousness. That's what I think. So I think the way they do it is they go back and either sort of merge two realities together, or the way time travel works is that whatever they change, they can't change people's memories and consciousness, so they only can change physical things. That's and I think maybe they're using CERN as a tool to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard it in several different examples, and it always seems to come up when Mandela effect comes up. I mean, as you brought it up, what's your take on the Mandela effect? I'm not going to lead you in any way.
I don't know. You know, Mandela effect is it's a very strange one. I definitely don't think it's some sort of mass misremembering or something like that, because there's just too many people for it to just be people forgetting the name of a book. I think, let me see how I want to put this without, because I'm still not definitely, you know, sure how and why, but I don't know. It's a strange one. I don't know. I don't want to say too much now, and then I have to go back on my words because I'm not too clear. I think you should bring Jesse Spots on your show and have him explain the Mandela effect.
I've got a lot of love for Jesse, but by the same time, I get a bit frustrated when I watch his stuff. I mean, I took your advice and just stopped watching because it was getting too frustrating.
I mean, I know, like, if you don't agree with a view, yeah, I know it can get frustrating. I know what you mean. But like, let's say the Mandela effect. So what do you remember from? Do you remember that book, Interview with a Vampire, the film?
Me, definitely, yeah.
So what do you remember it as?
Well, I can give you a specific. I can give you more than that. I can give you detail. So when I first heard that title, I was sat in front of an old rickety TV, and it played out a Blockbuster video advert, and it played the clip where Lestat is in the car getting, I've forgotten the reporter's name, but the Christian Slater character, and he's in the car with him, and as he sort of attacks him, the car fishtails, and the announcer comes on and says something to the effect of, why are you chasing, you need to get to Blockbuster Video, they've got 1 million copies of Interview with the Vampire. And I remember it really distinctly. Now, my girlfriend at the time was a big book reader, and she was reading the book, so it was one of those. I can remember it really distinctly. I can remember the title. And I've had other people give Mandela examples of announcers saying it quickly. It's just, it's so,
yeah, I've seen those.
It's just an easy title to get wrong. I don't know. There's a much more easier explanation than CERN has changed my memory, in my view.
What about the North Pole? Did you know the North Pole is no longer a continent? It doesn't exist. There's just water there.
Yeah, but it comes and goes, doesn't it?
What do you mean?
Well, when the sun is low, like it is now, it would reform. It would, you could go on it, and then when it's hot and it all melts, it's not there. I mean, that was my understanding. My understanding
was that there used to always be a North Pole continent, and you could go there, and that's where Santa Claus used to live.
I mean, I'll flip this and put it another way then. How did you get the first bit of information, and how did you get the second bit of information? So what caused you to think it was a continent, and then what caused you to think it wasn't? What caused me to think it was a continent? Because I remember reading about it. I remember reading. You read about it? Yeah, I remember reading about the North Pole at school. I remember this, and I remember, if I close my eyes, I can picture it in my head. There used to be a continent. And have you ever read 1984? Yeah. Well, there's whole teams of people that, in the metaphor they use, I mean, I would use it as people sat at the other end of 1 million miles of fiber optic cable changing stuff on the internet, but in 1984, you've got teams of people that literally change books and change what's happened in them. I mean, it's just media manipulation, and it's been shown to us how it's done. We even watch it happen occasionally, but yet we can't accept it when things like that change. But we know how we're manipulated.
Yeah, but how can they change every single book in the world?
Well, but the whole planet's about to just change, but it hasn't kind of folded itself up. You know, for some people it's still a globe, for some people it's completely flat. Well, that's a pretty radical change, but nothing's physically actually changed.
What if the flat Earth is a result of the Mandela effect?
I've led you into this, haven't I?
What if the Earth was a globe until recently, and now it's flat?
Well, I mean, that's a good what if question. My answer would be nothing's changed. It's just people start to look. My concern is that when something massive like flat Earth comes along and someone points out, it's you know, to me now, flat Earth is so bleeding obvious. You just, you know, you've only got to look, and it's kind of you can't go back. It's so difficult to go back and start thinking globularly, or whatever the word is. So bearing that in mind, you think, well, I was always pretty observant. I always looked at the stars. I was always, you know, head up, looking out, and paying attention to what was going on around me. I mean, when I was in Birmingham, it was to stop me getting mugged. But on the whole, I'm pretty observant of my surroundings. So when I found out, there was nothing in my mind that had physically changed. My surroundings are exactly as they've always been. But some people will see that, think there's a massive change, and more importantly than anything else, start looking. And when they look, they realize that things aren't necessarily as they think they were. But I could be wrong.
Well, I guess we'll know, find out soon enough, won't we? I think it's going to be out pretty soon. I think I'm hopeful, because it's just so blatantly obvious. I mean, like you said, for me, I can't go back to the globe either. It's when you know. There's just nothing that can change your mind. I get messages every day from people telling me that I'm stupid, and, you know, calling me names, trying to get me to change my mind, but it's just, you can't.
Yeah,
You know, I'd love to say, fine, I changed my mind, it's a globe, and I believe it. I'll close my YouTube account now, but I can't accept it. It just doesn't make sense. It's
there's
wrong.
no way. I mean, you wouldn't have multi-billion-dollar proof machines like NASA churning out the garbage that they do. They would literally just send Joe Boggs Public, like they did in The Simpsons. You know, they'd just send a guy up there with a Kodak camera, click, there you go, look, globe, easy. But then when they're wrapping ribbons of CGI around ribbons of CGI and coming up with these crazy pictures, it's just nuts. I mean, now that you are a fully fledged flat earther, I mean, what is your take on some of the really obvious stuff like the moon and the sun? I mean, are you looking at these things objectively now, or what's your thoughts on normal things like the sun and moon?
Well, first of all, I definitely think that they're a lot closer than we've been told, but I don't think that, you know, have you seen those videos where there's people saying that the moon is in front of the clouds?
Yeah, I've seen a few of those.
That to me, it just doesn't make, that's wrong. There's no way that they could be that low. Because say when you get on a plane and you fly above the clouds, you can still see the sun above you, can't you? So there's no way that it could be lower than the clouds. So, but I think they're still a lot lower than we think. And the moon is a really strange one. I'm buying a telescope. I bought one when the blood moon was about coming around, and the telescope was faulty, so I had to send it back. So I didn't get to see that, but I'm getting another one, and I want to start looking at the moon a lot more closely. Have you seen Crow 777's work with the lunar wave?
Yeah, I mean, I like Crow 777, or Crow Triplehorn, I think his name is, but it kind of concerns me when every piece of material to do the lunar wave is published through him. And there's several people apparently publishing it, but yet it all comes from his channel. I mean, it's easy. YouTube's just, you know, takes 10 minutes to set up a YouTube account. Why wouldn't any of these people just publish it themselves?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought as well. So I thought, let me buy a telescope and then I can see if I can catch it myself. Because the moon's,
I've never seen it. I spend loads of time looking at the telescope, through the telescope at the moon. I mean, it's fascinating, but you know, it's exactly as Fake Spaceman in Space said. I've never seen it, So
Yeah.
you can't really confirm it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know if it's real either. I'm not gonna say. I'm just gonna take Crow's word for it. But I'd like to try and see if I can catch it myself. It shouldn't be that hard. If
He
it
even
happens.
gives dates to actually capture it, doesn't he? I mean, I've been a subscriber of his for quite some time, and he actually literally dishes out dates and says, this is your most likely time to catch the lunar wave. Stick your telescope up on these nights.
Yeah. So maybe we'll catch it. Maybe I'll have beginner's luck and I'll catch it first time round. But maybe not. But the moon, going back to your question, I don't think they landed on it for sure. That's one thing. Another thing that I was thinking about last night is, has anyone ever like looked at the shadows on the craters of the moon to see which way they're cast? Because I was thinking, are they shadows? If they're shadows, then they should change. Like as the moon orbits the Earth, the shadow direction should change, right?
It's really interesting because on the John Lewis ad, when she looks up through her telescope that she gets for Christmas, there's going to be a lot of kids getting telescopes. The shadows are really pronounced and at angles and things like that.
Yeah.
So I think you're right. I mean, when I look at it, absolutely not. You know, it's all uniform.
Not, exactly. So what I want to do is, if I want to get my telescope, I'm going to film it going maybe, I don't know how long I can have it in the telescope, and then try and observe the shadows to see if they change direction, because they should. If they're shadows, they should change. They can't just stay uniform the whole time.
Yeah. I mean, what about the sun? I mean, I think it's pronounced Phuket World or something like that. I would just say fuck it world. I think that's the fun he's trying to get out there. Why not call a spade a spade? But on his channel, he's looking a lot at sunspots, if it's the guy I'm thinking of. What's your take on that?
The sunspots. I don't know. I saw a video today actually about sunspots. Someone filmed it from the UK actually, and said that I didn't fully watch it, but he was saying that the sunspots, apparently, I think he filmed it for 12 hours and said that the sunspots either don't change location or change. I don't know, but there was something odd, a discrepancy that he found. But I can't remember what it was. But the sun, to me, I don't know. Again, it's all I know is that the Earth is flat. The sun and the moon is just so far out of my comprehension. I don't know right now, to be honest.
Yeah, just before you got on the show, you've obviously spotted that I was chatting away with my wife, and I was going through my Facebook photos and found a picture that my sister had taken of my wife and her daughter, and they were only literally inches off the ground, and they were looking at the Isle of Wight in the distance. It was in the far distance, and I worked it out to about 30 miles, like a vast distance. And you could see the polar bear that's on the tip of the island just above my niece's head. And you think, I worked it out on the Earth curve calculator, and there should be something like 500 or 800 feet, just a massive amount of curvature blocking the view.
Really?
Yeah, I stuck it up. I didn't stick it up. It's just a picture that was on my Facebook feed.
The curvature is one of those proofs that you just can't deny. It's just like if someone says to me, what's like for me the flat Earth, the most definite proofs, one of them is the curvature, because what they say is, oh, the Earth is so big, but the math is telling me. I'm not even concerned about how far I can see. I'm concerned about what the math tells me, because like you said, if in that picture you can see the polar bear when it should be 800 feet below your feet, if the math is telling you that, then there's no denying it. So that's proof right there, isn't it? What else do you want?
A lot of people get confused with the math.
Yeah, I think that's because on Google it says it should be 8 inches per mile squared, right?
Precisely.
On Google it doesn't say squared. Why is that? Is that, it can't be a mistake, can it?
No, of course not. That's deliberate.
On purpose, obviously, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just so we can lay it out there, because now we're adding to the confusion. So if you want to work out Earth curve or you want to work out the curvature of the Earth, it's 8 inches for each mile squared. So if you're working out 2 miles, it's 8 inches times 2 times 2, and that would give you in inches how much of Earth's curve there should be at 2 miles. So it's 8 inches per mile, or 8 inches per mile squared.
Yeah.
There you go.
Which is
Little maths lesson on Flat Earth UK Live for all the people watching. There you go. That's how you work out that you should be able to see a massive curve but can't.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things we brushed past, it was kind of, I was going to lead on to it from CERN, but one of the things that often comes up in comment feeds is the sort of hatred for not necessarily just NASA celebrities. In fact, let's take a non-NASA one. Let's take Brian Cox. But whenever Brian Cox comes up, people just seem to despise him on the assumption that he knows the Earth's flat. I mean, do you think, if we take just Brian Cox, do you think Brian Cox knows the Earth is flat?
No, I don't think he knows the Earth is flat. I think he knows he's lying about something. I think he does know that there is something, but he doesn't. I don't know. I think he's too stupid to figure it out, to be honest. When I look at him talk, I don't see a professor. Like, I see someone who's regurgitating something he's been told.
Yeah,
honestly.
Totally. Yeah.
I mean, even Stephen Hawking, how are we to know that what he's saying is really coming from him? I mean, the poor guy could be just, you know, they send the stuff through wireless to his computer and just plays. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it? I'm sure I saw a documentary that claimed that there was literally handlers, but it got a bit far-fetched when they were actually controlling what he said through the computer. It was all totally bizarre.
It's weird. I mean, yeah. I mean, he even writes books. How do you write a book? How does he write a book? How does he do research? I don't think. Yeah, I mean, I think Brian Cox is just another Stephen Hawking, but I think he just says what he's being told to say, and I don't think he knows why. He probably.
Oh, definitely. I did a little video log about him. He was doing like a behind the scenes, and he's got the producer or director, I'm not sure which, laying out to him what they need to be saying, and it's obviously the script, and he hasn't even read the script, and he's sort of arguing with him, saying, why are we even going to this place? What's the point? And the whole point of them going is to prove we went to the moon. There is no other point in doing anything space related. That's the only point in doing anything to do with space. Make sure people know we're on a globe. Make sure they know we're in, you know, space is real and we can travel out to these planets. And that's the only ever purpose.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that video actually. That was really bizarre. And you can tell he's sitting in the car and you can tell that I think I even put a comment on your video saying he knows he's lying. Like, you could tell he's really uncomfortable. Why was he so on the edge, like really shaky? And was it because he was nervous? But why was he nervous? Was it because he's nervous because he's lying, or is he nervous because he doesn't know where he's going with that guy?
Maybe he's just really weird. He hasn't read the script that day and doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
Well, maybe, yeah. But yeah, I don't like him at all. I really don't like him.
What about the other? Well, back to NASA, I suppose. The astronauts that are going up onto things like the ISS. You've got Tiger Dan's opinion that they're on maybe anti-gravity machinery and crazy stuff like this. I know you said earlier about them actually going into the waters above.
Yeah.
I mean, what's your take on anti-gravity machines and things of that nature?
I really like Tiger Dan's theory. It makes a lot of sense, and I think that could be a possibility. I think it's very likely that that's what's happening. Either that or they're. I mean, to fake zero, because like I said, I don't think they're up there, so they're faking it. If they're faking it, they're doing it down here. So, and how would they do that? And I think Tiger Dan's spot on. I think that is probably how they fake anti-gravity. Either that or it's CGI, which I don't think. I think it would take a lot more to fake it using CGI than it would to do it the way Tiger Dan suggested, if they have the technology. So I think that probably is how they do it. But as for what's up there, I don't know. Like I said, there could be just satellites just swimming through water. Maybe those things that they have for the what do you call it? The panels that come out.
Solar panels.
Solar panels. That's it. Maybe it's like flaps where they flap through the water with it.
Swimming.
But,
I mean,
yeah,
you do
yeah,
see some crazy stuff on the NASA videos. You know, the models just look worse and worse each time I tune into anything NASA now. It's just so blatantly models. It's really bad.
it does look bad, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah,
I was trying to
down.
think.
Red Dwarf stuff's better than the NASA stuff.
I was thinking about this the other day. I was let's pretend that this is let's pretend this is the ISS, right? Do you know when you're looking at the live feed and there's a bit of the ISS in front of the camera, right? If we can find out, let's say we take one part of one of the solar panels, right? And we figure out what the measurements are. Then we figure out how far up it's meant to be flying. And then we wait for it to go over land, right? And then we take a bit of, let's say it's going over South America. We take the part of the land and then we use the distance to try and figure out if the size of those panels are accurate. And if they're not, then it's probably a model. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Exactly. In other words, work out the scale of comparison between whatever is up there versus what we can see in there.
Yeah, exactly. If we can find the scale of what it should
IMAX projected images.
Yeah, because I've seen I watched Jeranism's show when they did the live ISS, and there's some weird things that happen when you watch it for a good couple of hours. Strange things happen on there, like the sun just suddenly disappears, or the Earth just goes dark, or it's just weird things. I've seen random lights just appear out of nowhere. I've got a video on one of them actually. It looks like a UFO, but it looks like there's 4 lights. So yeah, I think it's definitely a fake.
Did you see the book? I call it a book bag, but the tool bag incident on the ISS. Did that slip you by, or did you see that?
No, I saw that one actually. Yeah, that was a hilarious one.
It's bonkers. They were tracking the ISS and tracking this bag, but in the footage when they drop it, they're just clearly in a pool. You know, it's so blatantly in a pool. It should carry on in its orbit, but yeah, it sinks. You know, it looks like and is just sinking.
Yeah, it does, because you can even see it overtakes the ISS at one point. It goes faster than it should in the opposite direction. It just doesn't make sense. But yeah, I think that was probably one of the stories. How can you track a tool bag in space?
It's nuts. I mean, the other thing that I personally think that it's all filmed in tanks, certainly the outside stuff, was when they had when they repaired Hubble, I think it was, and they had a tether, great big long tether, and it detached. And then when it got to the bottom of the tank, you know, it's floating away and floating away and floating away. And then eventually it stops getting smaller. And then all these, you know, aliens, or so they were spun, come out of nowhere and start surrounding this tether. And when you look at it and think, actually, it's not aliens at all. It's just bubbles in a tank. You know, they've been broadcasting this stuff unaware that there's ham radio operators or whatever just tuning into the broadcast and taping it onto VCR tape. And when they found out that there's lots of people with this footage, this dodgy, shady footage of them filming in tanks, when they're supposed to be out in space filming, you know, a proper repair of a proper Hubble telescope, you've got alien conspiracies out there that are covering this stuff up. You know, it pushes the new alien agenda that they've got out now that they're mathematical certainty.
I don't know. Is that a video that you saw or what?
Oh my! I mean, it's one of those. It's one of my YouTube videos that gets hardly any hits. I mean, I was watching the ISS feed again, like you say on Jeranism, and they were pointing out some of the Chinese bubbles that came out of their helmets and stuff. And I thought, I'm sure I've seen something similar before, and went back through footage that had been released in the 90s, and I'll tell the whole story. So there's a guy that had been watching every single broadcast, and that he was told by NASA, or NASA had published, that the feeds were all encrypted, and he thought that NASA had let the people know that you couldn't actually tune in, you could only watch the edited footage from them. But this guy was watching all of it, and he taped it all to VCR, and then went back through the footage and was finding bubbles. That's what they were, frame by frame, when he was slowing down the footage as he played it back. And when that incident happened with the tether getting loose when they were repairing Hubble, he filmed the entire thing. And then a journalist went and interviewed him about the incident. And the journalist put the spin on to the interview that it was aliens, that it was alien craft that he was seeing. But it blatantly wasn't at all. It was bubbles. So as soon as the tether hits the bottom of the tank, all of these bubbles come up, And yeah, and you know, if you want to look at them and say that they're alien craft flying around it, then fine, but they're blatantly not. They're just bubbles in a tank.
Interesting. I'll go and see that one. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, as I say, I stuck it up with a bit of commentary. It was one of my very first videos, so the sound's absolutely awful, and you know, but yeah, it's got that bit of alien footage, and it was gotten hold of by the alien conspiracy people, and then it seemed to become even more like it was even being pushed so that people did think it was aliens. And again, you kind of shake your head and go, well, a load of nonsense, and it's just conspiracy. But then when you go back to that footage, knowing it's authentic footage, and look at it with a bit of a critical eye, it's clearly just bubbles in a tank. You know, none of this stuff's real. Space is a complete hoax. But we've kind of known that.
I mean, the whole alien thing, I used to really be into that, really into it. And now it all makes sense to me why the whole alien agenda exists. And it's just so obvious. And all of these alien conspiracies, I think that, again, they put it out. And they've managed to get a big following, and that's how they keep people in that zone, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they do it in more and more blatant ways. I mean, we said earlier about the Pepsi advert, but that's so blatant in terms of how it's trying to scare the living daylights out of people with space propaganda. It's just hell sell. They just want to scare you, and using aliens where 10 years ago that wouldn't, it wouldn't even get an audience in the conspiracy arena. Now it's mainstream viewing. It's mad.
Yeah, agree. It is insane. What do you think? Do you think they're going to use it to fake something maybe one day, or?
I think they're already doing it. I mean, you said it earlier. You summed it up really beautifully when you said that there's always a reason behind what they show us, and never a true word was spoken. Every single thing that comes out on the media is in some way skewed or manipulated. And even the way people think and talk when we do stuff like this, we are completely manipulated in some ways, just in the language that we use and the stuff we're reporting on. I tried to highlight that in the Pepsi ads that, I was thinking, why am I thinking and questioning the Black Knight? And then you find out that we're just being manipulated, same as we always ever have been.
Yeah. This makes me a little sad when I think about it, actually, that we've been fooled all this time. Imagine all the things we could have got done. Do you know what I mean? If we'd just been told the truth.
Nah, don't be sad about it. I think it's hysterical. When you can spot this stuff, you can laugh about it. I mean, I'd be sad if I was still under the spell and still under the illusion and thought we were living on a spinning globe, which we're not.
Yeah, but I wish the lie hadn't stretched out this long. Maybe a couple of years. That would have been enough.
Yeah, a couple of hundred
life. Exactly.
Do you think it's all coming to an end then? I mean, do you think this is it? I mean, we're going to see the rise of flat Earth, and people will actually get woken up to it, and they'll have to sell us a multi-dimensional time-traveling lie in order to keep us under control still. I mean, do you think this is the end of the globe?
I think it could be if people don't mess it up. I think there's a lot of people out trying to sabotage it, and I think they're using any method to do it. Like, they're resorting to lies and manipulation, and it's and I think if people don't fall for it, and yeah, I think it could be it. Yeah, if they don't win, because they're attacking. I get it. I've had to put my comments on approve only. Like, I have to approve them now before people can see them, because there's just so much like violence and hate. I don't even read them anymore. I put most of the people that I know that are subscribers, I'll put them on the white list, as when they comment it goes up automatically. But the rest, it's just vile. I'm making a video, actually. I've taken a lot, like, screenshots and stuff of the messages I get. And there was a guy who made a video about me a while back as well, who attacked me, and then I've caught them in a few lies, which I was going to do last week, but I didn't get time because my pet and my dog was ill. And but yeah, I'm making a couple of videos just to show how desperate they're getting, that they're resorting to extreme lies just to try and sabotage people trying to put this stuff out. So I think it could be it if we play our cards right.
So is that your take on the trolls then? You don't allow all comments, you'll just allow your subscribers to comment only, and you just won't entertain the trolls at all?
No. I allow comments. I mean, if someone comes and says, I don't agree with what you said in a respectable manner, I'll allow it. If someone comes, I mean, the comments that I don't allow are not comments that are trying to disagree with me. They're just swearing and like cursing.
Oh, right, okay.
Those are the ones I delete. So, but no, if someone disagrees, yeah, I approve it. But disagree in a respectful manner, like a normal human being. Like some of the comments is just, you can tell that the guy is sitting there and he's so mad and he's so angry and he just doesn't know what to do and he's just like looking around like, and you can tell because of the way that the comments are written, and you can tell they're bashing on the keyboard. And,
yeah, they're fuming mad while they're ranting at you.
And I laugh. They spend, like, some of them, what they will do is they'll go on my channel and they'll go on every single video and they'll copy and paste, right? And I just delete them in a second, but they spend so much time just wasting time and energy just trying to throw hate, and he just disappears. It just means nothing. So they're wasting their breath.
I love them. The trolls are great. I spend hours and hours and hours with them. You know, they'll tell their wicked lies. So they mix in a bit of truth, mix in a bit of lie, go off the subject, come back onto the subject. And you look at it, a feed, and it's like 27 messages from the same person and 27 replies from me. And you just think, who on earth has got the time to do this? I'm doing it because it's my video, and I don't want to. I want to allow all comments. Why not? But who has got the time to spend literally all day commenting? Over and over and over and over again, trolling your videos. It just gets, I don't know, it gets tedious. Some of the trolls are really well trained now, though. They're brilliant. The one troll's put out a $5,000 bet with flat Earth maps on it. Brilliant job. Great trolling. I wish they'd all do that. All of you trolls, if you're watching this, make a flat Earth video, even if you're saying it isn't. I don't care. Feel free to make a video about how wonderfully real gravity is, because I'll tune in. Troll you.
Exactly. No, the trolls are. I used to be like you've only just started. Just wait until you get a couple of thousand subscribers, then come back and tell me you love the trolls.
Yeah, I say that all the time, actually. Who am I to say with whatever it is, 301 subscribers? I might get 2 or 3 trolls giving me a bit of earache. You probably get it all day long.
Yeah, you get the baby trolls that are just still drinking milk. The soft ones. They get worse as the bigger your channel grows. They get worse. And then I think once you get maybe to maybe 10,000-20,000 subs, then you've got to deal with the the government trolls, like the YouTube blocking your account and stuff like that. I've seen that happening a lot.
Chills. I mean, I've heard Jeranism talk about one that they eventually caught out, and it just sounded like a stressful ordeal to have to go through to deal with these knobheads.
Yeah, knobheads. Brian Cox. Did you see that tweet he made?
Oh, is there a new one? Go on, tell me.
No, the old one where he said people who don't think we went to the moon are knobheads, but he spelled knob N-O-B.
Right. Jeranism tore him a new one over it. I mean, he really went to town.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things I was going to talk to you about, well, 2 things, but one sort of leads on to the other. Your original channel was all about hallucinogens and what I don't want to use the words out of body experience because I'm not educated in this, but what I kind of wanted to know was when you were doing or when you were experiencing that, did you have your eyes opened more to anything to do with deception of the flat Earth, or was it useful for this current experience that you're going through with such a big change, the globe not being real? Did that help?
Well, the thing is, since I found out about the flat Earth, I haven't really, because the thing is with psychedelics, I was never really that much into it. I wasn't doing it all the time. It was very scarcely done for me. It was maybe once every 5-6 months, and I haven't done it ever since. Maybe it's been a year and a half. I did want to do it and go in with the intention to see if about the flat Earth, to see if it's true or not. But I haven't, because it's not an experience that you can just get up and do anytime you want. It's really overwhelming, like for me anyway. So I only do it when I'm ready, and I haven't been since, so I don't really know. But I would love to find out. Very interesting stuff. I was listening to a podcast last night. Oh, it wasn't a podcast. It was just a short video. I think it was the Truth Frequency Radio. The two people that run it, they were talking about how they did psychedelics and went in with the intention to find out if it is flat or not.
Really?
Yeah, and I think what did he say? He said something about, yes, it is. I think he said yes. Oh, I don't know, actually. I don't want to misquote him, but it was quite interesting. I can't remember what he said now. But yeah, he said they went in with that intention, and they both got different, because there's two people, and they both saw different things. So it's worth listening. I'll send you the link. But me personally, I haven't really done it, to be honest. So I don't know.
I mean, one of the other things you talked about on Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes was some of the ritual stuff. You didn't go into it in massive detail, but it was certainly something I was hoping to chat about you with. I mean, we get involved in the UK in loads of rituals, and some people probably don't even realise they're getting involved with them, with things like, Guy Fawkes Night and Halloween, even Christmas. I mean, what's your take on the sort of British rituals that we experience every year?
What do we experience here? What do we have? We've got Halloween. What rituals are we talking about?
Well, you've got things like Guy Fawkes Night, Day of the Dead, Halloween. I mean, all of this stuff is based on pagan rituals. I mean, I'm not that educated in paganism I wasn't until a couple of days ago, when a few of my colleagues confessed to being pagans, which I was quite shocked about. But other than that, I know that most of our rituals, if not all of them, holidays, whatever holiday you name, it's going to be based on a pagan ritual holiday. But yeah, I mean, maybe this is news to you. Most of the stuff we're doing when we're celebrating and sending up fireworks is celebrating some pagan ritual or other.
Yeah, I know. I thought you meant I was talking about something else at first. I haven't really studied this much, but it does seem to me like I'm going to go back to the numerology, like I was talking about. Gematria. Do you know what gematria is? Like, where they put basically you take the alphabet and you assign numbers to each letter, right? So then each letter then holds a numerological value. So for example, A would be 1, and then B is 2, etc. Right? So you use this method to decipher different, like for example, if we take Halloween, the word Halloween will have a certain number, a certain value, and a lot of the things that they do, like a lot of the rituals that they do, like you just mentioned Guy Fawkes, and all of these have specific numbers assigned to them, and specific values and specific words that all mean something. I don't know what they mean, but from the stuff I've been looking at, all of these holidays, all of these rituals, they all have like an underlying I think it's something to do with harvesting energy, maybe, or directing consciousness towards something that they want. Don't know, maybe. What was the story behind Halloween? They used to kill babies or something during Halloween. Kill kids.
Sorry.
What happened?
I accidentally played your advert. I do apologise.
What happened?
I just played your advert by accident. I played it at the top of the show before you got here.
What advert?
Your advert, I mean, that's actually quite a useful little segue. I don't want to cut you off in what you were just saying. At the beginning of the show, I played out your advert for the 33 show.
Oh, the 33 show. Oh, right. Yeah, I got me confused with the advert.
I mean, it's a classy advert.
Did you like it?
Absolutely. I mean, it's got a lot of flat Earth information in it. But more importantly, it's got some good humor. I mean, did you actually hire someone to do that voiceover?
No, I know someone who can do it. And I was thinking about, I was going to do it myself actually, and written it, and then I recorded it, and it just didn't sound good. And I was like, I wish I could do something. I was like a funny voice. I was going to do it with my funny NASA voice, but then I thought it would be something something interesting would be better. So I got my friend to do it.
Oh, it's perfect. It's so good because it's got the humorous. I'm off looking for the curve, which is just priceless. It's brilliant. I love it.
It wasn't meant to be an advert, to be honest. I wrote it. It was meant to be like a flat Earth motivational thing. But then I thought, let me just put it in there while he's here recording, because I'm not going to get another chance. let me slip that in.
So tell us about the 33 show then, because I mean it's all new to me. I have no idea what it is.
Okay, well, basically, right, this goes back to when I was a kid. Like ever since I was young, I've been fascinated with films and like cameras and making films, right? So, and I used to always think to myself, how amazing would it be if I could have my own channel, like my own TV channel. And I used to go to my room and I used to sit down and I used to write scripts about films and shows that I want to make when I have my own channel. Like it was like a little dream that I had. So a while back, I realized, I was like, hang on a minute, YouTube is exactly that. It's like we've got to a point where anyone can just have their own TV channel. Like for me, I don't watch TV. I have a TV, but I use it to play games, right? So my computer is my TV. So then that makes YouTube channels your own TV channel, right? So I was like, hang on a minute, let me do what I've always wanted to do. I've got the means. I've got a camera, I've got a computer. What's holding me back? So I thought I'll take my channel and I'll make the things that I've always wanted to make, but I'll do it about the things that I enjoy, like the flat Earth and stuff. So that's where the idea came from. It was very spontaneous. It was like overnight.
Cool. When's the first one going out?
I don't know. I've got the first 2 guests. On the first show, I'm going to have 2 people on. Actually, I think I can tell you guys who it is because they've both agreed. So it's going to be Wake the Sheeple and Scott Marrow. Do you remember the commenters that I spoke about on Patricia's show?
Great minds. I literally 2 days ago sent Wake the Sheeple a message saying, if you haven't been interviewed before, I'd love to interview you. Yeah, no way. I can't believe that. I mean, I'm glad someone's interviewing because I love Wake the Sheeple.
Yeah. His account actually got closed. YouTube closed his account.
Did they?
Yeah, on some copyright crap. Like I said, he had 10,000 subscribers and then suddenly he just closed it. So I thought in a way it would be good for him as well to come on because his channel was really good. I used to get a lot of stuff from him. He
just used to compile loads and loads of different really good sources. It was like you say, having a TV channel with Flat Earth and Other Hot Potatoes and Jeranism and Eric DeBay and Mark Sargent, and the list went on and on and on. You could just go to his channel and watch Flat Earth all day.
Exactly. And yeah, he spent a lot of time doing it. So it's not just about the content that he spent time. And it's just a shame, for them to just close it down. So I thought in a way he could come on and plug his new channel. I think he said he's got a new one. So I thought, and they used to, like, for me, when I first started looking into Flat Earth, before I even opened the channel, I remember those 2. So I was like, and I used to always read their comments. So for me, it was like the first people I want to have on is them. Like, not someone famous, I want to eventually, if it picks up, I've got a couple of people in mind that I would love to get on the show, like high profile people.
No, tell us who's your Flat Earth idols. I mean, I've got them. I know. I'm probably.
Oh no, I wasn't talking about Flat Earth because the show is not going to be only Flat Earth. It's going to be all of the stuff I find of interest. Flat Earth wise, I don't know. I don't have idols. I don't know. I don't think that's.
Idol's not the right way.
It's not the right word.
Just people you watch a lot.
Yeah. Well, I'd definitely like to get Patricia and Mark on. Jaren was one of the first people I watched, so yeah, Jaren as well. But let's see. Tiger Dan's good. I'd love to have him on. He's really interesting. Like his stuff is amazing.
I wrote him a massive email, right, and then found that I couldn't actually get his email address, and the only way to contact him was through Google Plus. And I couldn't. I'm just thick. I couldn't figure out how to actually send a message to him. But yeah, Tiger Dan would be right at the top of my list as well. He'd be right up there.
That's great. I saw you had Matrix on.
Yeah, he was great. He was really good.
Yeah, that was a good show. Is he in the UK?
I think he's in Spain.
Okay.
So yeah, him and Wakey both live relatively close to each other. I'm sure he said Spain.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that was a good show. But yeah, like I said, I would like to have Tiger Dan, Patricia. Eventually, maybe everyone will come. You'll have to come. Maybe you can
definitely.
even
I'd love
come
to
on
be
the
on your
first
show.
one. We can because the first one's like, because I've never done this before, so it's just gonna be like just us having a chat, So maybe you can jump on as well. We can have like a group discussion.
I mean, I'd love to come on. I mean, don't let me steal. I mean, Wait the Sheeple's the only one. What was the other guy that you said you were going to have, or girl? What was the other person?
Scott Marrow, the one who has the avatar of like a space guy in space, floating in space.
Oh yes, I do know who you
Scott,
mean now.
yeah.
You say that. Yes, yeah, I know exactly which avatar you mean. It's like the gravity thing, isn't it?
Yeah. No. What gravity? The G.
No, like the promo shot of like a guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah.
Has Wait the Sheeple actually ever made a video?
No, I don't think so. No.
Oh man, I can't wait to see him on your show. I mean, I'm really
I can't wait to
see his views.
Yeah, he's a really nice guy. Actually, I've been talking to him. He's a really down to earth guy. But that's what I just want to talk to people that like are the same, like on the same level. Do you know what I mean? That think the same, and like I would love to actually get someone on that is like a glober. What you call it? Globulars. These names are so funny, man, but they're really stupid. But they're funny in a stupid way. Globulars, yeah. Have a globular on and chat to them about have a debate. Mark Sargent's having a debate with Art Bell and some ufologist next week. Do you know that? Do you know who Art Bell is?
The name rings a bell, but probably not.
Is it the Coast to Coast? No, that's not Art Bell. That's George Noory, isn't it? Yeah, I can't remember the name of his show, but he had the Morgul on.
Okay.
And but I think Mark Sargent's going on, so that's going to be it's going to be a debate. So we'll see how that goes. Then maybe I'll get because I used to go to university and I've got a lot of friends who study physics at uni, and a couple of them are like working in physics now. Like one of them did what was it, nuclear physics or something like that. So maybe I'll get a couple of them on. Just it would be good to see what sort of, because I've never personally, I have never spoken to someone in the physics field about this, about the flat Earth. I'd love to see
what. You can assume that they're all going to be exactly the same. We've all had the same programming. We've all been exposed to the same stuff from the same sources. So you can only assume that they're going to fight in the same way as every other globehead you've ever spoken to will fight. Yeah, but then if they go by the maths, then you show them the equation and you say, here's the curvature equation, so show me. But it doesn't work. What can you say to that? Where's the curve? Where is it?
I'm going to find the curve now. That was really funny. I'll put that in last minute. So I'll make it all.
About that line.
Yeah, about the curve.
I mean, talking of curve, I mean, this is one of our best flat Earth proofs. There isn't one.
Yeah, there isn't one.
I can't remember the video I watched a couple of days ago, but there was a guy that had got a really great compilation. I'm sure he didn't do flat Earth videos, and then it was like his first one. It's a good half an hour long. If I can remember what it is, I'll stick it in the video description for this when it goes out on YouTube. But it was fantastic. He had the first one I'd ever seen, a time lapse of the sun getting smaller as it disappears into the sort of perspective, as opposed to going over the edge of a curved ball. But he had loads of great flat Earth proofs, and every single shot he had of a city, it was like the Pepsi ad, because in that Pepsi ad, they do like a high up shot from a tall building, and you can kind of see the landscape is probably, it must at least be 10 miles of wall-to-wall buildings all on a perfectly flat surface, all done with whatever they call it, the plane survey. It's just crazy to see all of this stuff lined up one after the next, perfectly flat, absolutely no curve, no complications from anybody. And then you see stuff like the railways, endless miles of railways, all on the perfect flat level, It just makes no sense that anybody could ever deny it once but you get these people and they'll fight you tooth and nail to explain something that doesn't make any sense. I mean, do you go on Facebook much? Do you have any debates on Facebook?
No, I used to, not anymore. not anymore. I don't really like to debate, to be honest, with people. I don't like to argue with people. For me, the thing is that at first, when I opened my channel, I was really eager to put out information and do experiments and prove this and disapprove that. But now it's got to where I know for myself, and I'm okay with that. That's all I need. I don't need to go and constantly prove. And I've also realized that a lot of people are not, how do I say this without sounding rude? They don't deserve someone teaching them things. Do you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
And I thought to myself,
kind of
why
got golden nugget, haven't you? You've got this bit of information that's precious, and when someone's a total dick,
Yeah.
you just think, well, I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, not everyone's like that, but a lot of people are. And I thought to myself, why waste my time and energy? Let me just do what I enjoy. I know it for myself. I can make videos, the kind of videos that I like, but then also try and make them a bit informative for other people to enjoy, instead of trying to prove this and disapprove that, because all you get is just hate and abuse. So why bother?
One of the things I said earlier about the Sanity channel, it's one of the things I love about that channel, or your channel, is that you'll put out stuff there that's you know, some people could claim that it was alien conspiratorial or whatever, you know, on a different subject, but it's just media, it's just information that's being put out there that you're highlighting, and presumably you're just seeing stuff that you like and putting it out there regardless of your views on it. Yeah, am I right in that sort of assumption with that channel?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the way it started, it was like, I was like, okay, I'm doing research. The things that I come across that I like, I'll share with people, and I'll just tell them my views of what I think. Like, I'm not out trying to prove anything or trying to make people think in a certain way. It's just what I look into, what I enjoy. I just share it, and that was the whole point from the start. But it's just got to a point where people don't appreciate anything anymore. It's just like, why bother? Instead of doing that, I just do something else.
Yeah, definitely.
I've been close to closing my account down so many times and just like calling it quits. But I don't want to let them have the satisfaction, you know.
Who's them? The trolls?
Yeah, the people that, the trolls, the shills. I used to think that shills was like, when people were saying that person's a shill, I used to think, it's just a word, it's just a name that they've made, it doesn't exist. But now I'm convinced that there are shills. And a shill to me is someone who's trying to use deception to prove you wrong when they clearly can't any other way. So that to me is a shill. So, and there's a lot of them out there. And yeah, if I closed my account, I think that those kinds of people would have satisfaction from that. So I'm not going to let them. Like today, I got a comment, like, you know, on the 33, the advert thing you said, the 33 show. I wrote, one of the comments that I wrote under it was, let's see how many people will come and say, oh, why did you use 33 as the name of the show, and pick at it. And someone came and wrote a comment. It was so disrespectful and so long, but I approved it just so that I could reply to him and just laugh and say, because when you read the comment, you can see that the guy is burning. It's just like, I don't know if it's jealousy or if it's hate or if it's a combination of all these things, but I could tell how much he was upset at the fact that, oh, this guy he's gonna do his own show, right? And he just wrote this hate-filled comment, and I approved it just so that I could reply to him and laugh and just let him know that I know he's burning. And it's just so funny. And I think if I stopped my channel, then those kinds of people would win. So I don't want to let that happen. So I'm going to keep doing it.
Was it flat Earth related? I mean, you said he was knocking the name of the show, but was it anything useful in flat Earth terms?
No, nothing at all. It was just abuse, and all you flat earthers, all these people, celebrities, blah blah, show this, that. It was just the kind of comment that just shows how much a person hates seeing someone else either be happy or do well. Do you know what I mean? He was one of those kinds of people that doesn't like seeing someone else do well. I'm not saying me having a show is doing well, but it's something that I like, something that I'm going to enjoy doing. And they don't like seeing people like that they don't like happy. Do you know what I mean? So all they can do is just swear, and that's all he did. You can go and read it. Actually, it's under the video. You'll see it. It's under my comment. It's just like 10 lines of just gibberish.
I mean, I'm quite thankful I don't get any of that. I mean, the kind of comments I get are from people who want to debate gravity. You know, you end up with 27 messages from a shill and the identical person that's, you know, a different name, but clearly the same person just writing endless messages to themselves. You know, and they'll mess around, they'll delete their own comments, and you kind of get twisted up in trying to respond to them. Excuse me. But like I say, the one that I've got going on at the moment is on a video log I did about Disney planes and the fact that he's always on a flat plane surface, and you know they started getting into a debate about tossing a ball and asking why it descends, and I was like, well, you know, it's releasing its potential energy that it was got when picking it up, and that turned into a car rolling down a hill, and explaining the potential energy I'd have to expel, you know, or the potential energy put into the car by pushing it up the hill. And all they wanted to do was say that there was some other magical, mystical force. And I would try and get them to say, well, explain why we need this magical force, you know, trying to bait them into saying it's because we won't, you know, spin off this ball that we're all told we live on. But they won't do that. They'll just keep on, you know, hacking away at the same point that there's this other magical force beyond, you know, kinetic energy or potential energy or whatever it is you've already explained away what they're asking. But they just keep asking the same question. They don't care. Yeah. On and on.
It's because they don't have anything else to hold on to. They don't have anything.
Do you think they're paid? Do you think these people are actually paid to do this?
The ones that comment, no, I don't think so. I think they're just stupid. Well, not, I wouldn't say stupid. Okay, some of them, yeah, they're stupid, but I think some of them are just, they can't let go. They've just been so in, like, they've had it all their life, haven't they? They just can't let go. I mean, how do you let go of? It's hard. If you think, I mean, people like me and yourself, I don't know how you took it, but I took it pretty well. Like, I wasn't distraught when I found out. But you gotta realize that there are people that will go mad, like, in a way, when they realize that it's true, and they can't accept it. So they will just do anything they can to try and push it in the back of their head. So I think those kinds of people, they're having a hard time accepting reality. Most of them will come around, but I think it takes a lot more work on their part. But I wish everyone could just see it like for what it is, you know, without explaining all the maths, because like you said, gravity, we don't even need it. We don't need a magical force to explain what's happening. Like a lot of like the flat earth theories, like density and buoyancy, explains it perfectly. Why do you need gravity? The only reason you need it is to prove that it's a globe. So
yeah, complete rubbish.
It's completely.
It doesn't matter how much you debate it with some people, like you say, they're going to want to fight for the globe. I mean, my wife's like that. You know, she likes the fantasy. And you said, how did you take it? I mean, when I first took it, I was kind of immediately understood what I was giving up, or what I was going to be losing by accepting what reality is. And I was a bit gutted. You know, I love space, I love sci-fi. I used to watch Red Dwarf and just wait up half an hour before the show started. You know, I love Star Wars. So from that perspective, most of my movie collection got a lot worse overnight, which is bad news.
Yeah, no, I've always loved space as well. I still do. Like, I bought this the other day, like 2 days ago. It's a new Star Wars game, and I'm loving it. It's amazing. I mean, a lot of people think just because if they think that if they accept the reality, they're gonna have to give everything up. You don't. You know, space is fantasy. It's always been fantasy. You can still fantasize about it. You know, maybe in another reality, it's
level in your games as well.
What's that?
You're being programmed. I mean, I think it's.
Oh yeah, definitely.
The more connected you are to stuff, and games is just one avenue of media, in my view. But you know, my wife, it'd be the 3-inch display of Facebook. You know, for yourself, it's games. For me, it was space, sci-fi, movies. It depends. Pick your poison, but no one wants to give up their poison. You know, for the more academic people, they don't want to give up satellites, or they don't want to give up something that they've been involved with. You know, if you're an engineer working on a satellite and someone tells you the Earth's flat, How are you going to take that? Not well.
Not well. Exactly. No, I think some people have a harder time grasping, but they eventually will. The reality is, because it's just so in your face. Once it's implanted in your head, you will see it everywhere. Like, it was like that for me. Like, once I realized it, I was seeing signs everywhere. Like, going out the house, I could tell, yep, there's no movement. We're not moving like through space. It's just, I always wondered about that as well. I always wondered, like, how is it that we're moving? It just doesn't make sense. Now it does.
Man, it's just the numbers.
But
500,000
the thing is,
miles per hour around a black hole. What?
What? But the thing is that they managed to perfect the lie in such a way that even people who questioned reality didn't consider, oh, maybe it's flat. Because I always question as to why is it that I don't feel like I'm traveling through space? Never crossed my mind that maybe the Earth is flat. Like, they managed to sort of push it so far back that people didn't even consider it.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
I've seen on a few of your videos that you know, when you're ripping to pieces. I'm glad we got to this. I'm glad we didn't forget when you ripped to shreds an epic video that they did. That was brilliant.
Which one was this?
It was one that was like it had thunderstorms and
yes, the time lapse.
Yeah,
that one, that from RT News, right?
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, the thunder. Yeah, that was a yeah. But it was a very obvious one. I mean, the instant I saw it, I was like, what? Because I had got into photography not a while back, like maybe a month before that. And one of the things that really interested me was time lapse. That I've been taking time lapses of clouds and like the moon, and I've been doing hyperlapse, whereas you take a time lapse but you move the camera forward, so you're walking, but it's still time lapse. So I've been playing around with a lot of that stuff. So the instant I saw it, I was like, that makes no sense. Like, the lightning especially was just, they don't know what to do anymore, because the technology is so advanced that whatever lie they come out with, someone will rip it up.
But you did a brilliant job. I mean, you always jumping up and down while you were saying it. You were just sort of so matter of fact about the way you ripped it to pieces. It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I mean, for anybody who hasn't seen it, just talk us through exactly what was on that video and what you saw in it.
This was a while back. From what I remember, it was a time lapse that the ISS took of the Earth, and I think it didn't say how long it was, but I think I estimated the time that it was taking over because the Earth was also spinning in this one. So, and there was thunder, there was clouds. What else was there? There was lights in the cities that were on, that not a single one flickered at all during the whole, I don't know how many hours it was. It wasn't an hour, it was actually 45 minutes. I think we calculated it to, yeah. 45 minutes, not a single light went off anywhere in the world. There was lightning taking place everywhere. That was being, basically it was a time lapse. So it was taking images every, I would say it has to be like every second or every 2 seconds or something like that. And the way it was showing the lightning was that the lightning was taking place from the start to finish. So you were seeing the whole transition, and that would be impossible on a time lapse, because time lapse is just one frame. And
yeah, I tried to catch some photography of thunder, and you have to do it with high-speed cameras. Yeah. And you chew your way through footage at a rate of knots. I mean, the amount of data that you fill up when you're doing those sorts of, just to catch a thunderbolt. So to see a full, like you say, a full exposure of a full thunderbolt on a time lapse, you're like, what idiot has put this together? It just makes absolutely no sense at all.
At all. And the thing is that if you're going to do that, I mean, you're taking a picture of the whole Earth. So if you're going to have thunder, then something else has to be out of focus. Everything was in focus. There was lights everywhere. And you expect people to believe that it's a time lapse. I mean, when you take a time lapse and there's lights and they're moving, you get a trail behind the light. And it's impossible to get that sort of thing from a time lapse.
It looked like something out of Superman. I mean, it was, don't get me wrong, obviously it was horrendous because it was so unbelievably fake, because you can pick it apart. But for somebody who's not got a trained eye, it was spectacular footage. It looked amazing.
Well, that's the whole point, isn't it? That's why they do it. They just, I mean, if you think about it, Nathan, to be honest, like the people that are awake, we're a lot less in numbers than the ones that are asleep. So majority will buy it.
Yeah,
So,
but the same way that the social manipulation with things like YouTube and Facebook, we have these tools too. And, you know, it's like, oh God, I hate using matrix comparisons, but, you know, it becomes exponential. There's going to be a tipping point, which you said earlier. I think we're at it, and I agree. I think we're at that tipping point where it becomes exponential and more and more people will find out. You know, it's just going to continue. That the future's scary in terms of what happens when that happens. You know, we're starting to see, but does it descend into chaos? We're starting to see it in the flat Earth. You know, the flat Earth, if you call it community, but the people who are talking about flat Earth, some of them turning on each other. You know, will that happen en masse?
I hope not. I mean, the world does seem it's in a very hostile state, doesn't it? I mean, flat Earth aside, everything else, just everyone's at war, everyone's fighting. So I wouldn't put it past people to have something within a tip over. And I mean, there's even yesterday. Did you see that video that Eric put out? Eric Debay about taking the piss out of Mark and Patricia and stuff. He was dressed up.
I mean, he's entitled to his opinion. I don't really approve, but I mean, what was your take on it?
I mean, this is going back to what you said. I mean, within the flat Earth community, we don't need people doing that stuff. Even if you dislike someone's opinion or you think they're a shill, that's not the way to go about it. So the only thing that it does is cause tension between everyone. So, and these are, I think, my personal opinion is that these are tactics that someone who is in it to ruin things uses. And that's just my 2 cents. I mean, I didn't approve of it at all. There's no need for it.
It's a shame. I mean, he makes really good comments and really good points, Eric Debay. I mean, only the other day I watched an interview he did, and he said it's really obvious. You know, the flat Earth is obvious. It's obvious we're not moving. It's obvious we're stationary. It's obvious that the stars are moving around above us and not the other way around. And you think when he makes really not bold statements, just obvious statements like that, you think, yeah, right on. And then he goes and dresses as Patricia Steere, and you think, what are you doing? Why do you want to make everyone look nuts?
I mean, why does Alex Jones tell you a lot of truth and then go and, you know, do something that's opposite of what you thought he was about? It's the same game, isn't it? If you look at it, the similarities are there. So only to me, it just seems like he's being either doing it I don't see why he would do it. Either he thinks it's a joke, he's not taking it seriously, or he's just he's doing it on purpose to disrupt the piece. And I think that is it. Either that, or maybe he's just not happy that there's other people that are more, I don't want to say famous, but are a lot higher than him in terms of if you look at the flat Earth. I mean, if someone was to say to you who's the leader, if you had to pick someone, who would you say? I don't agree with.
No, I mean that sincerely, in the respect that, I mean, it's a good question, because who's the leader? Well, nobody, because I can't shepherd anybody to flat Earth. Nobody is going to listen to a word I say. No one's going to trust me unless they've already got their eyes open and just understand what I'm saying is true. You can't lead a horse to water and make it drink. You know, it's just, it's a self-discovery. You can't have a leader. You can have lots of people like us putting the information out there, but no one's going to follow me. I mean, there might be people who are that way inclined, and you might get people who turn flat Earth into some sort of cult, and you end up with cult following. But ultimately speaking, it's just a reality sandwich as opposed to a religion.
Yeah, well, I think Eric sees it a different way. I think he wants to be the leader. So I think that might be one of the reasons why he's doing it, if it's not because he's paid. So I think, I think he doesn't like the fact that other people are getting attention. But again, whatever the reason, it's not right. He shouldn't. It's things like that really put me off. This whole movement, like truth movement, or whatever you want to call it.
But if you're going to be a leader, you've got to have, you've got to lead people somewhere. I mean, don't get me wrong. If he had somewhere to lead me, I would probably follow if it benefited me and my self-exploration. I mean, in the same way, if you think of someone like Matt Powerland, he's trying to go down to Antarctica, and you think, yeah, man, if you make it, I'd follow you every step of the way. But that's totally different to just sort of taking lots and lots of flat Earth references out of lots of old literature and compiling them and presenting them to people. I mean, pretty much that's what I'm doing. But, in other words, doing that. But would I follow him for that reason? No, I'd hope no one would follow me for the same reasons.
No, I know what you mean. Yeah, I agree with you totally. And I'm getting an echo, I think. Yeah.
I mean, it normally gets to a point when you're about, how far are we, an hour and 3/4, where the delay starts to increase. And if we start to, tell you what we could try, let's start tackling Antarctica. If it all goes terribly wrong when we explain how Antarctica works to people, maybe that would work, or maybe we should leave it at that. Who knows?
What do you want to tackle with Antarctica?
Well, I think there's a lot of confusion. I mean, it's always is the wrong word. It's often the go-to for people when you talk about flat Earth. So about a week ago, I was having a genuinely coherent chat with my parents about flat Earth, and my dad got tired. He had a stroke a few years ago, and he got tired and didn't want to talk anymore. So he passed me on to my mother, and in the background, I heard him say, when I was saying my farewells, "Don't fall off the edge." You think, right, so that's your go-to. In your mind, there's a dribbling edge with water cascading off the side of it, and that makes it all a nonsense to him. And I've heard it's time and time again, people don't understand what the azimuthal equidistant map is. They don't know what the plain sailing map was for, or what its uses are today, or where it's exposed to people. And the UN use it as their flag. You've got the US Geological Survey using the azimuthal equidistant map. You've got all these big players using this map, which depicts Antarctica as a great big ring all the way around us. In estimation, it's probably about 80,000 miles in circumference. It's massive, and it's holding in all of the perfectly flat, perfectly level water. But most people just don't understand that Antarctica's a continent to them, and nothing's going to change that, because you see it on every globe image that NASA provide us with. Antarctica's there, all white and continent-like on the bottom, no matter which one you look at.
Yeah, but it's very easy once you tell them that it's just a ice ring going around, and it makes perfect sense. I mean, it's the most perfect setup, isn't it? If I was to create a place and put people in it, I would do exactly the same. Don't you agree?
That's how you would design it.
Yeah, if I was God, this is how I would do it. It just seems like the most convenient, most suitable way to do things, doesn't it? I mean, how hard is it? Like, comparing the flat Earth to something that the globe model. Imagine if God was saying that thing, okay, what am I going to do? Okay, let's make some balls, and then I'll throw them into empty space, and I'll make some gravity force to keep them up. No, why don't you just make a flat plane, put some ice, dig a hole, and that's it. Put the sun up there.
It's a lot more simplistic.
Simple. Yeah, exactly.
Reality.
Exactly. Quick question for you. What do you think? Do you believe in God, or?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So do you think we were put here by the ultimate God, or were we put here by something else, like aliens, for example, or some sort of experiment? Or could it be?
I mean, you've got the infinite plane theory that would have the potential for aliens. If you've got puddles of water with other suns going around them, there is that potential. And frankly, it unnerves me. I haven't got any reason to say I don't. I've got no reason not to subscribe to that idea, in the same reason I've got no reason not to subscribe to the dome idea, other than the dome idea fits in nicely with the religious texts. They pretty much tell you it's there. So, I mean, I can give you my opinion based on what I was taught as a Christian. I think when you say there's waters above and there might be satellites swimming around in there, that's pretty much what the Bible says. So you think, well,
Really? Okay.
weird when these comparisons come up. And I lost my faith totally. You know, I was a total science believer. I was a complete globehead. And to sort of find out the Earth's flat and then go, wow, that what I was taught that I was sort of fighting against is all right. And then you reference it and go, hang on, this is exactly what people are testing, and it matches. You know, I mean, the other big one is the devil. I mean, do you believe in the devil?
Definitely, yeah, I do. I think the devil's running things now. I think that's exactly what's happening.
Scary.
Yeah, it is scary. But yeah, I don't know. It's a very strange world. Very strange.
Yeah.
It's fun though. Like for me, like since I found out about this whole thing, like life is so much more fun.
Definitely.
Isn't it? Do you agree?
Yeah, it's a world of possibilities now. It's brilliant.
Yeah. I love it. Like when I go out, I look at the sky and I look at it with a different eye. Like there's been a lot of times where I've been out and I'm standing there, like I'm looking at the moon, for example, and people walk past and they stop and they're like looking at me, and then they look it up and they're like, what are you looking at? And I'm like, the moon. And they find it weird. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it all the time. I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah. And for me, that's like happens all the time. Like I look at the sun, I look at the stars. Like when I'm sleeping, sometimes I open the window, and sometimes, very often, not that often, the sky is very clear and I can see loads of stars. And I've never looked and I've never paid that much attention. So when I see that, I'm like, wow. And I can lie there for like an hour just looking, and I'm just amazed. And that had never happened before. So I'm very thankful that it happened, the whole flat earth thing. So life is a lot more fun. Whatever the outcome is, I'm happy it happened. Even if it turns out to be a globe, which it won't. It was a fun ride.
No way. I think that ship has definitely sailed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to give a little plug because I bought a keyring from Wakey Wakey. And
All right.
Do you see one of those before?
Oh,
So
is that the
it'd be
one
a
that
good
they made?
conversation starter.
Oh, that's nice. Is there light on it?
Well, yeah, it's got a little light. It's quite handy. It's really powerful. It's like lights up the whole room.
Oh, that's the
But
sun.
It's like a sun and moon on a azimuth or equidistant map. And it's
That's
like a great conversation starter, because whenever you get one of those globe heads say, "Oh, don't fall off the edge," or any of that sort of nonsense, you can just sort of pull out your keys and go, "Here you go. That's what the flat Earth looks like, mate. In your face."
And you know what else you need? You need this for your house. Look. Can you see that?
Yeah, I love it. It's the Gleasons, isn't it?
Yeah. I bought
That's
one.
big, that is. I like that. I've only seen it small on the iPad. I've not got a massive Gleasons. Is it Gleasons?
Yeah, I had it printed on one of these plasticky papers.
Yeah, it's a good map. I mean, it's really good. It's got from memory, hasn't it got the equinoxes plotted on it as well?
Yeah, it does. It has a lot of stuff on there. Yeah, distances.
Yeah, there's a huge amount of information on it. It's massive. Brilliant map.
It is. It's great.
Is there anything else you want to plug before we wrap it up?
Not really. Just check out my channel. Hopefully, I'm not sure when the show will start, but pretty soon. And that's about it. Just my channel. Insanity is Sanity. So if you're watching this, you already know. There's no point in plugging.
It's always worth dropping another mention into it. I mean, you've been an absolutely fantastic guest. I'm really pleased you managed to make it in the end.
Me too. It was fun. It was fun chatting to you. Actually, I'll plug your channel. Subscribe to Nathan Oakley. 1985, is it?
Subscribers, mate.
Well, no, this is how it starts, man. Like I was exactly where you were. Like I started off with 0, and then it grows. Like you put out a lot of good stuff. Like I like your videos. You keep them short and sweet.
Yeah, and
so
eventually Linus Tech Tips.
Huh?
And I watch a load of geeky stuff on computers and stuff. And one of the channels is called Linus Tech Tips, and he does.
Oh, I know him. The guy with the earrings. He's got 2 earrings.
That's him.
I love him. He's great.
Yeah, he keeps the videos to about 5 minutes long, and I just thought, yeah, they're really digestible. Just one little snippet of information repeated about 3 times, 5 minutes, bosh.
Yeah. No, you've got a good channel, man. If you keep at it, I'm sure you'll grow.
Oh, mate, don't. I just like making videos.
Well, you're gonna have to eventually. You will grow, and you're gonna have to put up with the horrible trolls. So I'm just remember this day when it happens.
I'll just put them in the cage with the rest of the trolls. I've got a big cage.
Avi, what do you feed them?
I feed them gravity.
Gravity balls, yeah.
That's it. In gravity and planets. So yeah, Amir, host of Insanity is Sanity, you have been an absolutely superb guest. I've been Nathan Oakley. I will see you in the next video.